All-Grip. When you think of Suzuki and the words All-Grip pops out, the first vehicle that comes to mind is the Suzuki Jimny. I mean, I couldn't really blame you because the Jimny is an all-grip icon after all. But what if you need that all-grip capability plus seating for 5 passengers at the same time? Well, Suzuki heard you all and brought in their everyman compact SUV with all-grip capability, the Suzuki Vitara All-Grip Select. Can the Vitara's 4-wheel drive capability help it become a better competitor in the compact SUV world? It's time to find out. Let's do this. Hello guys, I'm Reagan and welcome back to another car review. If you're new to my channel, I hope you click that subscribe button for your regular dose of Philippine automotive content. If you're my subscriber already, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Oh yeah, and click that like button. Also special thanks to Suzuki Sukat for providing us with the Suzuki Vitara All-Grip Select to do this review. If you are in the area and you have a need for a Suzuki, head on down here to Suzuki Sukat and check them out. For any inquiries, you may contact the person in my pinned comment below. When you live in a country where rain is constant and the roads normally outside of the city becomes rough and quite muddy, well, driving a vehicle with 4-wheel drive capability is the more sensible choice. However, outside of 4x4 pickup trucks and the Suzuki Jimny, most local compact SUVs with 4-wheel drive capability are priced at above 1.5 million Philippine pesos. Now, the vehicles that come to mind are the Subaru XV, the Mazda CX-30, or even the Honda CRV. Now, this Suzuki Vitara All-Grip Select has an attractive price of only 1,468,000 Philippine pesos for this two-tone variant, but it already comes with 4-wheel drive capability. If you want to save a little bit of dough, well, you can get the monotone version of this thing and save 10,000 Philippine pesos. Now, that price is already a steal because this Vitara is a compact SUV that has 4-wheel drive capability. The Vitara All-Grip Select still follows the same design theme as the previous Vitaras. We still get the same clamshell hood here as well as the signature Vitara front grille. The headlights have been upgraded to LEDs though, but we still have halogen high beams, which shows off a little bit of cost cutting. Now, the fog lights are also halogen, but we get a pair of LED DRLs right here on the sides of the bumper. Now, when you put this all together along with this faux front skid plate here, you'll see that this Vitara All-Grip Select still exudes that same outdoorsy vibe that can be seen in the Vitaras of old. Now, the side profile maintains the same shape and silhouette that can be found in the previous Vitara. However, this model that we have here is the two-tone variant because we've got a blacked out A-pillar and roof, which, if you were to ask me, is the smarter choice. Now, this two-tone option is available for only 10,000 Philippine pesos, and you should get that, guys, because, well, this thing will make you stand out more on the road. Now, the Vitara still gets the same front fender garnish here. That is pretty much, well, a Vitara signature already, but we also get this long strip of chrome that's found here at the bottom of the doors. Now, I know this thing is there to make the Vitara look a bit classier, but yeah, for a rough and tumble compact SUV that's meant to go out on dirt trails, that chrome strip is a little bit out of place. Now, for your wheels and tires, the Vitara All-Grip Select gets 17-inch wheels that are wrapped in 215/55 R17 tires. Behind these wheels, you're treated to 4-wheel disc brakes, and for your suspension, you have a MacPherson setup in the front and a rear torsion beam at the back. The ground clearance, however, surprised me because this thing has a ground clearance of 185 millimeters. Now, that's decent for a city crossover, but this Vitara has the All-Grip name to it, so I expected it to have a bit more ground clearance. The rear end of the Vitara All-Grip Select follows in the same boxy design that can be found in the previous Vitaras, albeit with some tech updates to keep it relevant. Now we have here an all-red LED taillight assembly, plus we also have this faux rear skid plate here that houses your reverse light. Now when you pop open this manual liftgate, you'll have access to 375 liters of trunk space, which is good enough for one medium-sized luggage, as you can see, plus some smaller items to its sides. Now underneath the floorboard, you also get some space in case you want to put some items that you want to hide from prying eyes. Now 375 liters isn't really a lot, so if you need more space than that, you could always tumble down the second row seats, and that will now give you 710 liters of cargo capacity. It's still not a big space, guys, but please do remember that this Vitara is still a compact SUV. The Vitara All-Grip Select gets a 1.6-liter 4-cylinder naturally aspirated gasoline engine that can put out 115 horses and 156 Newton-meters of torque. Now, the power can be sent to all four wheels via a 6-speed automatic transmission. The All-Grip Select system of this Vitara has a front wheel bias, but it can seamlessly transfer power to the rear wheels if it is detecting slippage already up front. Now, when it comes to the fuel economy, well, I'll need more seat time in this thing in order for me to tell you. The Vitara's cabin follows in the same utilitarian approach that the Suzuki Jimny has, which essentially means that we get a ton of plastics here in this cabin. I mean, we couldn't really blame Suzuki because, well, the Vitara is still meant to be a utility vehicle, so it makes total sense, and perfect sense in fact, to have durable materials inside. Now, having said that though, there are a ton of tech features and creature comforts found here in the cabin that would make your drive a lot more comfortable. First up, the key. The key of the Vitara is already a smart key fob, which means that we have an engine push start button there, and this key fob makes it more technologically advanced already than the Suzuki Jimny. Now, the seats are also leather wrapped, and we have here a suede or Alcantara insert in the middle to make sure that your back and your bum will remain cool whenever you're taking the Vitara out for a drive. Of course, we don't get power adjustments here. These seats up front are manually adjustable, but that's not really a big issue. Now, the steering wheel is wrapped in leather, that's a good thing, and we have buttons here for cruise control and also hands-free buttons for connectivity. Now, what I didn't expect to get here is a pair of paddle shifters. I mean, not that the Suzuki Vitara has any sporty aspirations with only 115 horses on tap, but it's nice to have a pair of paddle shifters here. I mean, yeah, we are still equipped with a 6-speed automatic transmission, so yeah, paddles would be quite useful. Now, the wheel also adjusts for tilt, and it also telescopes. So that is also a good touch. And when you look at the gauge cluster here, we have a set of analog gauges and a colored multi-information display in the middle. Now, the gauges are beautiful, I must say. They are a nice classic analog retro look to them that really, it really speaks to me. I love this kind of design. Now, another quirky design that this Vitara has is found here on the top of the dashboard. You see, mounted right smack in the center of these two circular AC vents, we have here an actual analog clock. Now, this analog clock is a design that's normally found in luxury vehicles from Europe and stuff. So it's nice to see that, yeah, Suzuki threw that in, which gives it a touch of luxury, in fact. Now, when you go down from that analog clock, you see that you have a 10-inch touchscreen infotainment system that is chock full of features. You see, we get Apple CarPlay here, we get Android Auto, and we also have a reverse camera. Now, what I didn't expect, because this is a compact city-going SUV, well, is we also have a clinometer here, the same one that's found in the Suzuki Jimny. Now, since this has the AllGrip name, and you could see the AllGrip logo right there on the middle of your dashboard, yeah, but because it has the AllGrip name, well, I guess it makes sense that it also has an actual clinometer for when you take this out on the rough trails. Now, when you go down from your infotainment system, you also have here a fully automatic climate control system, but this is not a dual zone climate control, it's just a single zone. So yeah, it's a small vehicle anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And when you go down further, you'll have here a rotary knob that controls your drive modes. The Vitara All-Grip Select, as the name implies, All-Grip Select means that you have selectable drive modes where the distribution of power to the wheels is determined by that specific drive mode. When you keep it in its default setting, the auto setting, it's a front-wheel drive bias for better fuel economy, but when the car detects that there is a slippage in the front wheels, it would transfer power to the rear wheels to help you regain traction. Now, when you toggle it to sport mode though, in sport mode, well, the car optimizes the grip on whichever side of the wheel whenever you're doing high-speed cornering, plus the throttle response and even the suspension stiffness will be adjusted. I mean, imagine that. That's normally found in sports cars, but we get that here in the Suzuki Vitara All-Grip Select. Now, when you toggle it to snow mode essentially just optimizes traction to help you negotiate these slippery roads. And finally, we have a lock button here, which essentially locks power to all four wheels in case you're going through a muddy trail. Now, from that circular knob there, we also have an actual handbrake here. I like that we have this. And we have two squarish cup holders that we will subject to my clean canteen test. Now, these squarish cup holders are a bit on the small side. So yeah, it fits my clean canteen, but it doesn't go all the way in. So it's not really so stable, although it could work. So I'll give it a marginal pass. It marginally passes my clean canteen test. Now, when you look at the whole cabin, as I mentioned, you get a lot of plastics here. Now, we do have some soft touch plastics on the dashboards, but the top of the door cards are hard touch plastics. We also have a garnish here, a silver garnish in the middle of the dashboard to give it a little bit more of character. And if you look at the fit and finish, well, this is a Suzuki, guys, so the fit and finish is naturally tight and really good. Now, the cabin is straightforward and simple, but I do wish that Suzuki gave the Vitara a little bit more soft touch materials here and there, especially the top of the door cards here, because these are all high traffic areas. Now, Suzuki is known for their K cars, and as such, you can expect that the back seat of this Vitara would naturally be on the tight side. Now, the Vitara is the largest Suzuki available in the local market, but well, it is still on the tight side, as I mentioned. Now, I'm 5'6", guys, and this is my driving position, and the knee room is still good at around 6 inches. There's no problem there. But when it comes to the headroom though, well, the headroom is compromised because we only get 3 inches of headroom left. Now, if you're somebody who's like 5'9" or 5'10" or even taller, well, this back seat would feel really cramped and tight for you. Now, having said that though, you could put 2 average size adults right here and they'd still fit comfortably as long as their height is below 5'8". You could put a third person in the middle, but make sure that third person is a tiny human or probably a kid. Now, I also noticed that we have a panoramic sunroof here, and the panoramic sunroof has a sunshade that is more like a mesh type. Now, that might present an issue, especially since we live in the Philippines, because, well, we get some really serious heat here in the country, so that mesh type sunshade might let some heat into your cabin. Now, added to that is the fact that despite the Vitara All-Grip Select almost tickling the price of 1.5 million Philippine pesos, we also don't get rear AC vents here. I mean, for the price, I would have expected at least to get a couple of rear AC vents, which should help cool down the backseat passengers, especially with that mesh type sunshade. But yeah, we don't get that. Aside from that, we don't get charging ports. We don't even have a center armrest here. So essentially, there are 0 toys to be found here in the backseat of the Suzuki Vitara All-Grip Select. Now, enough of this backseat. Let's take this thing out for a drive and see how it performs on the road. Alright guys, so we're now driving the Suzuki Vitara All-Grip Select. And first up guys, well, visibility of this thing is really good, guys. Now, the sitting position is pretty high up. In fact, I feel like I'm sitting on a chair, on a dining chair. And that's the same feeling that I encountered when I drove the Espresso and the Suzuki Jimny. So this seems to be a Suzuki trait, having really nice and upright driver's seats. In fact, I could even say that these are driver's chairs. Yeah, it's really upright. And the good thing there is forward visibility is spot on. It is really good, in fact. And the sideways visibility is also really decent. Now, that's not bad for a compact SUV. Steering feel is pretty similar to the Suzuki Jimny that I drove a few months back. It's got a good amount of heft to it, and it has some response tuned in to the electric power assist system such that it doesn't feel too artificial. Now, having said that, this thing though has, well, a little bit of a dead spot right smack in the center of the steering. Now, a lot of people won't even notice it. They won't even be bothered by it, in fact. But, well, I could feel it and I notice it as well. In fact, I'm moving the steering wheel and we are still going straight. Now, having said that though, it is still a pretty good power steering system. It's got a good amount of feedback. So yeah, for daily driving duties, this Vitara would perform perfectly well. Now, when it comes to the cabin comfort and the NVH, well, I did mention that this thing has a panoramic sunroof and the sunshade is a mesh type. So I kind of expected that it's going to get a little bit warm here inside the cabin. However, as you can see, it is a warm day today. But, well, guess what? It's quite cool inside and I don't even have my climate control at a full blast. Now, that is a big surprise for me, at least, because I'd expect this thing to be warm, but that's not the case. So that's a good thing, and it shows the quality of glass that Suzuki used for its panoramic sunroof. NVH, however, is below average. You see, it's not really the vibration or the harshness because we don't get too much of that here inside the cabin. It's the noise. Granted, we are driving here on a busy street, but the noise, the environmental noise outside is making its way inside the cabin and I could hear everything. It's a little bit below average when you compare it to the other compact SUVs, especially at this nearly 1.5 million Philippine peso price point. Yeah, so I could already imagine that if I take this thing out on the highway, that the wind noise of the Vitara, especially when you go up to triple-digit speeds, might be a little bit on the loud side. But, well, that would be an assessment reserved in a future video when I get my hands on the Vitara for a longer amount of time. Ride quality, on the other hand, is quite decent. Granted, I am just within the city limits here and the road is pretty smooth, but when I encounter some potholes, well, the suspension absorbed them pretty well. There is a little bit of feedback coming from said pothole, but that's quite expected in what is essentially a budget compact SUV. However, I'd also want to have the chance to take this out on a dirt trail just to see how that the AllGrip Select will perform in such conditions. But when you're driving it here in the city, like what we're doing now, well, everything is pretty good. The ride is quite smooth and perfectly serviceable for day-to-day duties. When it comes to acceleration, I have this thing on sport mode right now and I can't really test it out in full because we're driving on a busy city street. However, as I put the gas pedal down, I could feel a good amount of low-end torque, which should help in stop-and-go traffic. Now, that's a bit of good news there because that means that the throttle response of the Vitara is on the decent side. It's not going to lag, and the 6-speed automatic transmission has a lot to do with that. Suzuki decided not to go the CVT route with the Vitara, which is a good decision in my opinion. The 6-speed automatic transmission is pretty decent. See, now we're accelerating. And although this is not seat-in-your-pants acceleration, it is decent, especially when you're driving it daily around the city. Overall, guys, the Suzuki Vitara All-Grip Select drives like a regular front-wheel drive compact SUV during these normal day-to-day driving conditions. However, what I like about this car is that when the storms roll in and when the winds come and the floods rise and the roads end and the dirt trails begin, well, this Vitara All-Grip Select will not back down and can still handle all of those harsh driving conditions. The Suzuki Vitara All-Grip Select is small enough to fit in most tight city roads, capable enough to handle dirt trails or even the occasional flood, and large enough to seat 5 passengers inside, plus their luggage. For people looking for a practical, compact SUV that is easy to drive and has 4-wheel drive capability, plus it's below 1.5 million Philippine pesos, well, the Suzuki Vitara All-Grip Select is your best bet. Heck, it's actually your only choice. Thanks for watching.